Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday night chat. Tonight looks like it's just me and Johnny. I know you can't see him when it's just two people. See? So anyway, we're gonna do this like this brings back memories back in the old days, a couple of years ago when we started the Conundrum when it was just me and you, Johnny.
Yeah. Yep. It was just us. Couldn't get nobody to come in for hell I water.
Yeah. So right now we don't really have anything that we've discussed off air to talk about. So we're just gonna play it by ear and see what's going on with everybody out in the audience. If there's anything that okay. Anyway, and we'll play it by ear. So is there anything going on with your life, Johnny, that you want to talk about, or your channel, or anything else?
Oh, still same old boring. Well, let me go. Same old boring stuff. Conundrum every 2 weeks. Work keeps me too busy to do anything else right now, which is a good thing, I guess, because the way the paycheck's still coming. But just doing the Conundrum every 2 weeks, and we're still trying to get Full Spectrum Survival on and get him scheduled and do that show. But other than that, just hanging out.
Okay.
And I have to admit, I like the weather change. After the storm, everything is slight breeze blowing, and it's not 150 degrees.
Yeah, it as much as I hate winter, I don't mind it cooling off a little bit. It has been pretty rough. Which August is always at least our hottest month anyway, so it's just like that draining heat. You know, you walk outside and it just like starts sucking the energy out of you.
Yeah. Bird Dog put their email in there for you to send that to.
Okay.
I'll put it in there.
Yeah, I already sent her one G plus. Let me grab that right quick and see if we can't get Bird Dog on here. I ain't talked to Bird Dog in a long time. Not in person anyway.
Right.
All right, here we go. I'm working on it, Bird Dog. Y'all bear with me. It's hard to do a chat and do all this other crap at the same time.
Buck Ryan said he drug out 2 ARs and only shot 10 rounds through each of them. 5.56 and 300 blackout. I guess he just wasn't in the mood to waste money.
Okay. I'm working on sending you a chat, Bird Dog. Let's see, Johnny said he put it in here.
Yep.
We'll get this figured out here in just a second. Give me a second.
Curiously Yellow Solar says, "What's up with the banning of the materials to make gunpowder?" We talked about that briefly Friday on the Conundrum. Our ATF is backing off of that. They kind of screwed it up in their writing to start with, I think, and then they back off it when the pushback came on them. So I don't think that's going to happen. Last I was able to see anyway.
Yeah, I think that was a they made a mistake on that, and because Pops Quest did a video on that, and they actually had it. Actually had it listed where ammunition was excluded. So that was a big scare about nothing. Okay, I think I finally got it through, Bird Dog. I sent you an email.
Yeah, as far as what we can tell between me, TR, Matt, and Misfit and all, talking about it Friday. We didn't talk on it real long because what we could come across, it seems like they backed off of it. It was a big to-do over nothing, or I won't say a big to-do over nothing. It might have not have been, if people had ignored it and they got no pushback, it might have would have happened in some manner. But I think the pushback came and they realized they had kind of fucked it up, so they retracted it.
From what Pops was saying, he read into it. It actually passed. They wrote that in there 2 years ago. It's actually been on the book for 2 years. But,
okay.
you know, they just hadn't really implemented any of it. And when they did start looking into doing it, that's when they actually wrote a provision. This is what brought it up, because it brought it back up in the news or whatever, or somebody's radar.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, yeah, we're going to have to exclude ammo in this. And everybody just like went ape shit, as we all usually do.
Yeah.
And turned out it was a big ado about nothing. But it could have potentially been a big deal, but it just affected them too. So they had to back off.
Yeah, we did. We talked about that too. How it would even hamper own ability to buy shit. So to produce the rounds that they do.
Yeah. So anyway, I was doing some. I tried to do a video. I mean, like 3 takes today.
Yeah.
And either my camera would die or the card would run out. You know, it's one of them days. You know. Yeah. But screw it. I put the camera on charge. I said, hell with it, I'll do it another night. But I was researching guns, you know, because I you know, thought about buying another gun.
Mm-hmm.
And it occurred to me, because, you know, hell, I'm old fart. A lot of guns I bought for $300 to $400 are now like $700 or $800.
Mm-hmm.
But, and that's what I was kind of trying to make the video. I still may do it. You know, with the rate of inflation, you know, a dozen eggs, a gallon of milk or whatever is tripled in price, but these guns have only doubled in price. So actually, they're still a pretty good deal. Still expensive, but, you know, looking back in the 90s when I did purchase these guns for $300 or $400, that was a lot of money. You know, it was a lot of money to me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that same gun at $700, even though it seems like an extreme amount of money, isn't really that bad a deal. It's still a fairly good investment. And I think guns are a good investment overall. That was kind of where I was going to go with the video. Because even if you buy a gun today for $500 or $700, good chance a few years from now, you're going to at least get your money back out of it, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
So they are a good investment.
Yeah, I seen believe it was Matt, has put his Mosin up for sale.
Yeah, I see.
And I think he's gonna, I forget what he said he was gonna try to do, but I'm pretty sure he's doing like you're talking about, maybe sell that one to be able to go to a different one.
Yeah, and I was looking at novelty guns. Don't get me wrong. I was looking at another one of these, which I won't say it's a useless gun, but it is a novelty gun. There's Ruger, single action 45 long Colt. I bought this one for $350.
Oh,
They're $700 now. $650 to $750.
Yep.
And that's what I was looking at, and I was like, "Son of a bitch!"
I've always wanted one.
Yeah, like I said, looking at the rate of inflation, really, it only doubled in price. It could have tripled.
Yeah.
Hello, Bird Dog.
Hey, gentlemen. How are you tonight?
Hello, hello.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you. I hadn't talked to you in forever.
I know, and I'll be honest, I miss you guys. Yeah. Good to see y'all. But that is an interesting topic, TR. I agree. But I thought your point that the milk and eggs has doubled, tripled over the gun's value.
Yeah.
Darn. I'd still rather have a gun than eggs.
Right.
Yeah, well, the point was, I'm not telling anybody to dump their 401k or whatever, but just in my lifetime, I've seen the value of, say, silver or gold, even though I don't really buy gold, but I buy a little bit of silver, some coins or what have you. But firearms, they have been a great investment. It was something I've already was invested in even before I got into prepping. It was just something I done. It was something my dad done, and it just kind of, instilled into me to buy guns. And it's been a very, and he did get in trouble here and there. Not trouble, like, like law trouble, just financial. Got in a bad spot. He'd sell a few guns. Because he knew he could turn around, if he got back on his feet, buy more guns and, replenish them or whatever. But it was a good investment. What are you digging into there?
This is an example. I had a friend that asked me to sell some items through Gunbroker, and more recently, this was again a 1950s era, over and under, 16 gauge though. Okay, so they probably purchased it back then, maybe $200. And for it to sell at $675, that's a nice markup for something that's, again, from the 50s. Again, it's a Winchester side by side. If I said over and under, I meant side by side. But 1946, to be specific. That's one example. I'm like Matt, though. I think I'm going to try to get some modern things, That's what I have tried to focus on. I love technology today. Here was a nice Beretta, and it was a Dux Unlimited, 12 gauge. Let's see, what year was this? Well, it was a more modern rifle anyway. It was probably a 90s manufacturer. But anyway, it sold for $725. So it certainly held its value and improved. What Tier's talking about.
Yeah, it's not so much really making money. I mean, on paper, it looks like you make money. Like I said, I paid $350 for this. I could probably get $500 for it. That really wouldn't be making money. It's just that it made my money hold its value. My investment in this, as inflation went up, the price of this gun went up. So it kept its value. But if I had some dollar bills from the 90s, they've lost value.
Right.
I try to sell in silver. Joke. But that would be ideal, of course, to the pertinency of the conversation here.
Yep.
For inflation.
That's one thing I wish when I was younger, in my 20s, even early 30s, would have had the foresight to have seen silver was $5 an ounce.
It is sickening, isn't it, Johnny?
And I could have had me a boatload of fucking silver worth 4 times its value right now.
It is sickening. Well, I mean, even gold, for the sake of it, a paycheck, $450 back
True.
then.
Yep. It was
Today,
ranged in between $350 and $450 back then, but hell, I wasn't making but probably $350.
In 2001, gold was like 200 and some change an ounce.
Yeah.
Really?
But
Right.
yeah, it might have been 250, it might have been 211, but it was in the 200s, low 200s. Yeah, it's sickening to look back at it.
And Johnny's right, though. It was still relevant. It's all in proportion.
Yep.
That's what we were pulling in.
Yeah, I couldn't afford to have bought gold back then either because I was only making $250 to $350 a fucking week. But I could have, if I'd have had the foresight, I could have bought $10, 2 ounces of silver a week. For all those years, 52 weeks a year, and I could have had a good little nest egg.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I wish my dad would have pushed me to buy silver. He was a little bit into coin collecting, but still didn't have the forethought to. And even in his lifetime, we hadn't had the rate of inflation that we've had in the last 10, 15 years.
True.
The rate of inflation has been insane.
Well, if we said, is this right here, for 30 years, 50 times 52 weeks a year, times the, I guess I would do an average, say $13 for the appraisal in silver, from what, 5 to 18? Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
So that's only still $20,000. 52 times 30 times 13.
Bird
Yeah,
dog, only person in America that still has a old timey calculator.
yes, I still love a tape. I have to reflect on my math, or maybe my outsmarting myself. Is it too good to be true? Let me reflect on that. So I don't know, Johnny. That's 20 grand. Gosh, it's still 20 grand. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I guess it's a little disappointing in thought. 30 years.
Well, we might not have got rich, but we damn sure felt rich. We looked over and seen probably 600 or 700 ounces of.
Oh, right.
Well, 52 weeks at 2 bars. That's 104 per year times 30 years. That's 3,120 ounces of silver. That would have made me feel rich.
I agree. I totally agree. What a beautiful sight that would be.
It might not have been worth shit, but it made me feel good.
Well, it would hold its value. It would still be better than putting back $10 a week or $15 a week or whatever. just like some old couple, say back in the 40s or 50s, if they had somehow stashed back $10,000, well, back then they would have been like, hey, we can live the rest of our life. We can retire. If you found that $10,000 as a grandchild or whatever, it'd be like, hell, I can't even pay off my car. You know what I mean?
True.
Well, 3,120 ounces of silver at today's market. We're rounded to 20 because it fluctuates around $20 an ounce right now. That's $62,400.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's substantial. That'll
me,
make you smile.
Yeah, for me, that'd make me smile big as shit. And that would have been only spending $15,600 over a 30-year time.
Which,
if it had stayed at $5, that's the caveat there, because I only calculated for $5. But it stayed $5 for a shitload of years in my youth.
true. Yeah, America was a solid place for a period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the back a couple of years ago when I was doing that, my contest with the silver bullets, penetrator.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember you were sweating it there for a period.
Yeah, one of the ounces of silver that I melted down trying to make bullets, it was actually a Christmas ornament. It was a 1 ounce bar from the 70s, had like Santa Claus on it. Because it was.
Oh, I do know that. Yeah, they produce seasonal mintages. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was probably only $3 or $4.
Well, poor Santa.
It dripped and bounced off my back porch, unfortunately, trying to make them damn bullets. But hey, it's all good. But even when I bought it, it was only, I don't know, it was less than $20. But I mean, it's still $20. But
Yeah.
like I said, I mean, really, probably if it was 1972 or whatever year it was, I forget. It was early 70s. $3 or $4 was a lot. I mean, was worth a lot more than it is now.
Oh, by far, yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. So I forget. What did you use? Did you use to make that cast? Your mold.
I ended up using, and the guy out there in the audience, Body X Politic, he sent me some silver solder. It was 45 or 55% silver. I forget which, but one of the two. And so I ended up, and I even said that in the video when I first did the contest. It's like, if I can just get it at least half silver, I'll feel good about it. And once I used the silver solder, it made perfect bullets. And so yeah, Body X Politic that's out there in the chats. He's the one. He sent me a little bit of silver solder to make bullets out of.
10-4.
What I thought was the funniest, he put his first batch of melted silver. He poured in his aluminum bullet molds and burnt the son of the bitches up. It burnt right through them.
It was a saga.
fucked up that $60 mold.
Yeah, what I learned was the Lone Ranger videos or things I watched as a child were fucking bullshit.
Yep.
You can't melt silver and make a bullet out of it out of a campfire. That's complete bullshit, I'm telling you.
Right.
Clint did a lot of that, Josie.
Yeah. Yep.
You can do lead, but silver? No, I'm here to tell you, silver is harder than you think it is. You just can't melt that shit down on a campfire.
Yeah, that shit. I thought it was, and I didn't even think of that shit when you were talking about how you were going to do it, and I know damn well I knew silver melted at a higher temperature than lead, but I was thinking, hey, it's a bullet mold. What can hurt it? And then I got, after you said it ruined my mold, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, aluminum melts quicker than silver will too.
Oh, I pretty much ruined a steel mold.
Oh, you
Really?
ruined a
The
steel one,
threshold
too?
for steel?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't melt the steel, but it kind of warped
Pocked
it up.
it?
Yeah,
Heated it up.
that was an ordeal, but that was a fun contest, and I had a lot of support and great VRs over that. That was a really fun contest to do.
It was. It was. We all had a great time. Yep.
Greg says 45% silver is still good enough to kill your average werewolf. Damn right.
Well, we've got
Yep.
62 days till the election. We may need some, TR. You might want to get back on that project.
We need to crank up production.
Yeah.
Not far out.
I have not heard about that Body X politic. You seen that in the external?
I'm just pulling up now.
Oh my God. Wow.
I can't even say it on the chat.
That was stupid.
Yeah, it was an idiot. Yeah. Yeah, I understood what you were saying, Body. Yeah, Darwin Award winner.
Yep.
Somebody tried to plate their nether regions in gold and ended up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ouch.
He cooked himself.
Yeah, that's just. Mm-mm-mm.
I'd have to say it. I had a frightened turtle. Mm.
Yeah. Well, how you been doing, Bird Dog?
Good, thank you, TR. Everything's been rolling along. No complaints to speak of. Just
did
getting her
you,
done.
How did the hurricane affect you? Did y'all just kind of get a glancing blow, or?
That's true. We were disappointed, really, not to get more rain. I think I've had 5 inches to 6 inches total over the 5-day period that we've had. Today we've had big squalls also. They continue to blow through, but they're very heavy and you know, periodic at times. Then you'll see some patches of blue sky and then another heavy squall. But the Florida lakes could certainly absorb all the water that we get. We need some rain still. It's not a problem. So we're glad to get through it. It's not a big deal.
So y'all are in a deficit of rain right now. Kind of
Yeah.
not necessarily a drought, but kind of running low.
You know, it's been going on for probably 10, 12 years that I don't really know what the event was, TR, that kicked it off, but we just had a series of episodes that really just dried our shit out around here. And it was a good thing, though, because the muck at the bottom of our sand bottom lakes needed to be dried up and, you know, just cleaned out by Mother Nature like that. Everything's got its own replenishing way, and after we started getting rain and some of those lake bottoms started filling back up, they're more healthy. You don't have the muck, and it's a good thing. But at this point, the lakes are only a quarter full, so people's homes, their values, your fun to walk out on your dock, you know, and not have a 12-foot drop. Just the things that you would like to have kind of be normal again. But that's been about 10, 12 years since things have been on our normal water table.
Well, this I seen the headlines when they were talking about the hurricane going through. It was the first hurricane to hit Florida in 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
true.
mean, it seems like in my lifetime that, Florida, not that hurricane's a good thing, but at the same time,
They
I mean,
are.
every few years, usually Florida got hit. And there was one year that you got multiple hits, and it was really devastating. I know, several years ago. Maybe not where you live, but to
No,
other
it
people.
was. It was 2003, 2004, and 5. We had this trio of just chaos. It was really devastating, and the majority of the trees have recovered just now. You can see the canopies that have overcome, the growth has overcome the broken nubs or stumps that were ripped off, torn off in the wind damages. And so things are pretty much back to normal. You don't see the blue tarps literally on people's homes. They were there for 7 and 8 years. A lot of people didn't have flood insurance back then, so that was Florida's learning, teaching moment. Sad for Baton Rouge and Lafayette, Louisiana. At this point, they're in the same boat. They've got high ground, and their land in both of those cities supports a lot of sand pines, tall pine trees, and so that should give you a clue right there that that's normally a dry area. But unfortunately, they didn't have any flood insurance, so they're having to get through that now too. Tough deal.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's been kind of abnormal that you hadn't had any hurricanes that helped replenish the water table. I know a few years ago, kind of whenever I started this channel, it was like we went through a summer where it really literally did not rain. I mean, you didn't have a day where it didn't rain. That's what I meant to say. I mean, it just rained every freaking day, but our lakes were down tremendously. Our reservoirs and all were down. We actually needed it. And because I remember doing videos, I'd go outside and do a video, and I'm like, well, I'm in South Carolina, and it's raining, of course, and I'd do some shooting or something, or whatever it was. I had to do videos in the rain because it was just freaking raining every day, all day long, But we needed it, and we got caught up, so.
Well, there is the La Nina and the El Nino patterns. Those are certainties, and we're in the La Nina now, so that's been a transfer out of the El Nino, and that's made a change. I know when I was a kid, you could set your clock, 3 o'clock, it was going to rain every afternoon in Florida, and it did.
You did that when I was stationed in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Every
See,
afternoon.
I'm pretty close to Jacksonville. Same
Every
tempo.
afternoon at 3 o'clock, that shit was coming a thunderstorm. Now, it wouldn't rain all day or all evening, but it was going to rain, and then the sun was coming back out just before dark to make it miserable. Pulling the water back up, and it was humid as hell.
God, Johnny, you're right, man. It is sweltering.
You're near Jacksonville, Birdo?
Yeah, south of that, between Jacksonville and Orlando, pretty much inland of Daytona area. We try to fish and hunt all that ground.
Between ain't Jacksonville and Orlando, that's half the state. Which
We run it all, right? No joke.
I was just saying, if you're near Jacksonville, you're not that far away. I mean, you are, but you ain't. Florida's
You're
pretty
exactly
big.
right. I have a dear friend that works at just actually has finished a job, but it was in Charleston, and so he would come home periodically and just make the haul. It's not a big deal. Yeah. But
Right,
beautiful
so
South Carolina.
We'll have to see if we can't get you up to Farmageddon next year.
I know. I was contemplating tonight that there are some things that we all really have got to start making, focusing plans on, because it's apparent at this point that, you know, we've all stuck it out, and it's all good, solid, and everybody has a good time. So we keep talking about things. Time goes on, and next thing you know, another year's gone by. So hopefully some cool weather will promote some of that. I'm tired of summer.
Yeah, you're not that far away. I know Buck Run, when he come down this year, he went down and met up with his son who lives in Savannah, and you know, he stayed in Savannah and then came up to Farmageddon. I mean, yeah, I mean it's a little drive for you, but probably not that much more of a drive than it would be for me. Probably what, 3-4 hours, something like that. I don't know. It may be further, but anyway.
Yeah, well, it is a good thing, no doubt about it. I won't be going hunting in Georgia. I got bumped, but there's a good spot in Georgia that's always a great hunting trip to take every fall. And, you know, again, road tripping off of that, it's even more convenient too. But like I say, this year's moot.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'd just like to meet you and
Oh yeah, definitely.
cool. You know, we all get out and have fun shooting and stuff. So that's all I was saying.
10 for that, 10 for that. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
more central. You know, you guys are central. Although there's a few people down in this neck of the woods, but it is pretty cool. You guys ran into somebody at the AT&T store. Okay, I'm not going to put names out there or anything, but this person was at AT&T and they worked there, right? And in the transaction course of servicing your phone, they need to see your ID. Well, I also took out my concealed carry license and did not give it to him, but he noticed it. And he struck up the conversation. Hey, you carry? Yeah, I carry. You carry? Yeah, I carry. So I'll be darned. He says, you know, out of everybody that works here, only 3 people don't carry. And he says, we all go over to, which is in a local area there. They've got a restaurant, and I think it's in Daytona. It's called Top Gun. It's a shooting range / restaurant. Before you guys have a fit about that, now I know that's a little controversial, but they do have it pretty well mapped out. You're not allowed to drink or do anything and then go to the shooting range. You know, they have a very well placed system in effect. It's a really neat bar and a neat restaurant, just state of the art. You can rent and try out any kinds of weapons. So all of this came to me right from AT&T visit, and I was most impressed to find out that a place like that is really honoring their Second Amendment rights. And I was very shocked, to be honest. They're young kids, you know, millennials too. So thumbs up, guys.
No, they technically wasn't millennials, or they wouldn't own guns to start with. They might have been in that age group.
You may have a technical term, true. That could be.
Yeah, because
I
a
was
true
impressed.
millennial, if you just said gun, they would ball up in the fetal position and cry.
This is a safe place.
It is really sad.
Yeah, but I had this fairly young guy, and I mean, probably still in his 20s, maybe 30s. But I had my Resisted Tyranny shirt on today, and went to convenience store, and the guy behind the counter, you know, I bought some beer and blah blah blah, cigarettes and stuff. And right as I was picking my stuff up to leave, he said, "Nice shirt, man." I was like, "Cool, thanks." You know.
See,
Like I said,
Ranting Hick. There you go. Ranting Hick. There's a good example.
I wear these shirts. The shirts you see me in my videos and stuff, whatever they are, sometimes they're offensive, sometimes, you know, they're just like this, you know. But I, not every time, but I do consistently get comments on people saying something about the shirt I'm wearing. You know, or, you know, like, nice shirt, I like your shirt, you know, or that says Black Guns Matter or whatever. You know, just enough to know that people are paying attention. They're looking. They're out there. You know, we're not alone.
I think there's a lot of aware people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe not enough, but they're out there.
It's concerning.
Yeah.
Horn to Fixer for president, no doubt. He's still running.
Yeah.
Well, the way this crap's going nowadays, me and Johnny's running next time. If the shit ain't hit the fan by then, me and Johnny's running.
Because all we have to
Yeah.
do is get those Ron Paul signs out. We'll just paste them up good, no problem. I can get some good altering. I can get TR out of Ron Paul. See, I can work that, no problem.
Our platform would be, we're for America. We're for America. If you're not, fuck you.
I'm all in.
That's right.
Awesome.
My opening
It's so
statement.
sad, you guys.
My opening statement would be: if you thought Donald Trump was bad, wait till you hear what I got to say.
Here, here.
If you got sensitive ears, get out.
Yeah. Don't ask, don't listen.
That's right.
Don't ask me if you don't want to know.
Yeah, because shit's just fitting to get real here.
Yeah, guys, there's so many crazy thoughts about all that. I don't know. You know, if you think how pathetic Hillary is doing right now, they could even just take her out and do anything just to spite the Donald, Mr. Trump.
That's great. Well, I think the
Let
fact
it run and leave in Obama.
the fact that he kind of runs off at the mouth and says stuff he probably shouldn't, and they have misconstrued a lot of stuff. You know, when they say, "Oh, he's a racist," well, how is he a racist? Nobody can answer that because he hadn't said anything racist. You know, it's just that that's what the news says. You know, well, he's a racist. Why? Well, because NBC said he was a racist.
Yeah.
But anyway, but the fact that he does kind of speak his mind is what made him popular. And I think people are starting to back off, and we're tired of the John McCains and the Lindsey Grahams, the hell, even Barack Obama. I mean, really, if he would have stuck to his guns, if he would have done what he said he was going to do when he ran during his campaign, which I know it's all campaign promises, don't mean shit, but he actually talked a good game. He just did the exact opposite of everything he said he was going to do. But any of them, your George Bush, you name it, name a president that didn't flip flop and do 100% opposite of what they said they was going to do. They fed you a line of shit, told you what you wanted to hear, and then you made a decision on which one bullshitted you the best. And for the most part, people usually just stay on party lines. But I think Trump, I mean, like I say, he's not my best choice or my first choice, but he kind of speaks his mind, and the people's like, hell yeah. You know, I mean, that's basically it, you know. He wasn't a politician.
Well, your last chat that you had, I was in agreement, cheering out in the comments. You may have been concluding that you had had enough to drink, but I thought it was heartfelt and sincere. And the points that you were making were very true. So we'll have to choose Mr. Trump at this point. That is our choice. And you have to continue to support him. I know if you'd like to do your third party candidate, that's your right. But it is detrimental to the outcome of this election. And I hope that nobody gets assassinated. I just hope nothing happens like that. At the very least, I think everything could be rigged. So, you know, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for controversy if everything goes accordingly. But if something happens, quote unquote, it wouldn't be unexpected.
Yeah, I think this election, more so than probably any in my lifetime, for those presidential elections, I think this is really the most important election that will witness. I mean, some of the other ones you could say were pretty important, and they were, but nothing like this one. Nothing like this one.
Yeah, this is
'cause
going to
even
let
with-
the communists get in. I mean, they will actually run the government, you know, after said and done. I don't think we could stand 4 more years. There's just no way.
No, no. And Barack Obama was, he was pretty mild. He really didn't do as much as people try to, you know, throw on him and stuff. I mean, Obamacare did pass, and that was a tragedy. And it's failing tremendously now.
As we speak.
Yeah. But he could have been a lot worse. He could have been a lot worse. But with Hillary, I guarantee you she will be worse. There's no way we can allow her to be president. And only in the big cities is where she has, you know, support. But as soon as you get away from the city, boom, it's Trump, 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 Trump. I mean, no matter how much the Republicans are trying to, you know, turn their back on them or whatever, I think the people are like, well, you know what? Screw you. You know, McCain or whoever you are. We don't give a damn what you think because we don't like you either.
You're irrelevant. You are out of touch at this point. You know, every dog has their day. And it's so interesting, again, who in their right mind would let their grandmother be in charge of your, let's just say, your iPhone or your telecommunication, be the director of your communications at your workplace? There's just, it's ridiculous to think that someone of that generation is going to be savvy enough to be able to, again, appreciate or adhere to the type of communication standards today that you have to have education-wise. Now, I don't believe for 1 minute that she wasn't trained on what classified information and all of that, you know, responsibility came with her job. I don't buy that 1 second. I don't believe anything that woman says. However, just in the general context of it, you know, technology is very complicated. We all can attest to what you do with your YouTube account and how much you have to stay on top of it and the changes that keep coming your way. So accordingly, Hillary's just really shown that she is not capable, again, of being trusted. This is serious treason we're talking about.
No, absolutely. Yeah, she knew what she was doing. Even if she didn't, she had people around her that knew what she was doing. And I'm not blasting you, Zach Hawkins, somebody out in the comment section. I'm not blasting you, Zach. But here's my opinion on the voting process that we have. I know where you're coming from. He says that he don't personally believe in voting. The Electoral College doesn't have to follow popular vote. The bold machines are highly suspect, etc. Just my opinion, not faulting anyone on their belief otherwise. And I understand where you're coming from. The problem is that's the system that we're given to work within. So until another system is put forth, we have to work within the system we have. And if voting didn't matter, I've brought this up many times. Here's proof positive. If voting did not matter, we would now be looking at Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton running for president. The fact that Jeb Bush did not win the nomination tells you 100% that your vote does count. Now, if it's close, yes, they can turn the election. They could do some voter rigging, election fraud, and get away with it. But if enough people believe in a certain way, you got an overwhelming majority that think one way, they can't rig that election. Because if they could, like I said, it would be Jeb Bush against Hillary Clinton. It would be a Bush and Clinton going head to head again. So that proves that voting does count if enough people are pointed in the right direction. Or a direction.
And I agree with that. And unfortunately, here's another unfortunate example of how we know that it counts, that the Democrats pay $25 for a vote.
They've sunk a lot of money into it.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Randon Hicks said, TR, would you stand by that if we get Hillary? Well, that's the thing. I mean, people, if the majority of the country votes Hillary in, so be it. I think it'll be the end of America, but I mean, even where the state I'm in, South Carolina, no doubt going to win Trump. Trump should win. But at the same time, there's polls out saying that it's a close race even in South Carolina. I don't believe that. But at the same time, there's enough people at work that I know actually support Hillary. So it's like there's so many people brainwashed, you really don't know what the true numbers are. So you can't get brainwashed by the Republicans and the media that think that Trump don't have a chance, just like Ron Paul. Here's a perfect example. The media convinced everybody Ron Paul didn't have a chance. When he was filling football stadiums with supporters. But what happened? The media convinced everybody not to vote for him. You know what people vote for? They vote for winners, whether they agree with them or not. They want to be on the winning team. So if you tell people that he'll win enough and you beat that in their head, they don't want to cast a losing vote. And either they won't vote or they'll vote for the Hillary or whoever. And we let the media shift our opinion, because not me and you, not people in the audience, not people in the comment sections, but people let the media and the government dictate how I'm supposed to think, how you're supposed to think. You want to vote for a winner. Nobody wants to vote for a loser. So if they broadcast that shit out enough, they convince people, like I said, either not to vote or to vote a different way, not what they think is right. I know I went off on a tangent there, but
no, it's a very meaningful, on point statement. Really, that's exactly what's still occurring. And the difference that Mr. Paul unfortunately lacked was the ability to persevere. And I'm going to use the phrase like Jerry Springer's show used to have, you give him the hand, just tell him, ignore it and come over the top of it. That's what real winning is, right? Is Mr. Trump is able to do this. He has been able to withstand and persevere the onslaught. I mean, we're talking a really big prize, aren't we, TR? This is a huge election. So,
Yeah, like I said, this will be the first election. And I'm not saying Trump will be the best president we ever had. He may be the biggest train wreck of a president.
I can't believe that. I just can't see that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I mean,
I really don't.
so I'm not even stipulating that, you know, I'm not even going to give that anymore.
Well, the bottom line is, I know Hillary, whatever Trump does, Hillary would be worse when it comes to me and you and everybody else and their rights and what they're able to do. I mean, I know for a fact Hillary will start stripping rights away, and it'll basically be a, you know, Gestapo. I mean, that's who she is. I really think Trump, I'm not saying he's 100% on everything, but at the same time, he's a good businessman. And I think he'll put people in power. He'll surround himself with intelligent people that know more than him, because that's where he got to where he's at today, that will help guide him on what to do. I don't think he's dead set on taking my rights away, but Hillary is. That's a known fact. That's been stated. That's came out of her lips. She wants to strip rights away from me. I've never heard Trump really say that. You know, so he may want to be restrictive on, you know, borders and stuff like that, which he should be, you know, but
and TR, you know what that derives from, again, is of course the sovereignty of our nation, but also the basic value of property rights in America. Property rights are so meaningful here, along with our Second Amendment, but you know, property rights are just, that's just something, again, that's different from every other country, for you to have and own, which has been undermined so substantially. Don't get me wrong either, people. You don't own your water, you don't own this, you don't own that, but you pay property tax, and if you don't pay it on time, then they'll take it away from you. You know, it's a precarious time. Property rights are under assault, certainly. So I think that a business person would be respectful towards your property rights, and thereby, whether it's a wall or if it's just, again, the sovereignty of our nation and instituting the laws that are on the books, that'll get America back on the right foot for you know, quite some time, to be honest. That'll give us a great step up.
yeah.
Welcome back, Johnny.
Yeah, welcome back, Johnny.
It's
It's
not
not.
Wi-Fi kicked me off.
I was
It's
wondering.
not. Trump don't even have to pass any new laws. He can just say, "Hey, we're going to enforce the laws that's on the books."
That's all I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, the sanctuary city situation is something that is a real key to the problem and must be addressed. Again, it's something that has to happen, and just addressing the current laws on the books and enforcing things that are already there will really, again, go a long way to helping our country reestablish its footing. Yep.
Yep, exactly.
I am a farmer, and I have been at the forefront, you guys, of instituting, you know, whether it was E-Verify. Do you hear about E-Verify, right? I mean, you know, I instituted that in our community as part of a testing situation that, again, panned out, but it was implemented for only maybe 5 years. And at that point, even, it was still part of a test situation. Not everyone was mandated to do it. But my goodness, I can't imagine the dastardliness, which is the reason to not mandate this. Why a company doesn't want to give the real linchpin, again, and it's not a company's sake. This is all done by the government. You know, it's just so obvious and repetitive, the efforts that our government has made at all levels, and the ones that I see the most of are through the United States Department of Agriculture. The USDA is the biggest money whore I've ever I see it all the time. And it's unfortunate, you know, you might think that farmers benefit, but we do not. We do not benefit at all. It's something that I can speak to my personal self. We have just done anything to hang on, frankly, to in spite of, in spite of this administration. Yep. So if we had good sense, we would have gotten out of the business probably. But it's something that, again, is very, very vindictive and well thought out to bleed the country dry of all of its finances, give it out, and put this country into a position that we are a beggar. It's a terrible, terrible program that we're on.
Yeah. Definitely a thumbs down on it for sure.
So you don't own things, you know, anymore again in America.
Mm-hmm. That's like the simple stuff like that. It's been a year or two ago, I guess, but the older lady down in Florida somewhere, and I can't remember exactly where she was at, but her husband had died. Kids are all grown and gone, and for her to save money to live off her Social Security or whatever, she went basically off grid, composting toilet, rainwater catchment for her water needs with proper filtering and whatever like that. The city and county went ape shit fucking crazy on her, saying she had to have power, sewer, and all this shit hooked up, and she was using kerosene lamps and small solar for her power, for the power she actually needed. And they made her hook up back to all this shit. And we all know, if you're hooked up to the power company, even if you don't use 1 kilowatt of power, you will pay a hookup fee every month. She was trying to eliminate every dime and dollar that was unnecessary. And they actually made her do this on her own property. I mean,
It's
her
true.
husband-
I do know of this story. You're correct, Johnny. She was not allowed to live off-grid.
Mm-hmm.
She was forced to participate in the system.
Yep. They charged her. She don't use. They told her she couldn't use the rainwater. She had to use actual city water and all that shit. Big lawsuit over it, from what I understand. I can't remember if she ever won or lost after she sued, but I know in the immediate run, she was forced to rehook up to all that shit. And her husband, before he had died, they had bought and paid for that house and that lot that they lived on. It wasn't like they didn't own it; they were renting it or something to that effect. You know what I mean? It just it irritates me.
Yeah, it's very appalling and real. I see you guys are talking about the honeybees out there. It's you know, something that is possible. We're not sure if the spraying is doing it or what, but I'm a citrus grower also, right? My trees have suffered tremendously because of the disease. You got the citrus greening, you got the HLB, Huablong. Canker is pretty much devastated Central Florida, South Florida. I think we've got about, let's see, so 2020, they believe if we continue the course, by 2020 there will be no citrus in Florida. That's pretty devastating.
Wow.
So I will give a hat tip to our agriculture commissioner in the state of Florida. He is really feverishly working with the University of Florida and the agricultural extension group to come up with, again, the right strains that we can continue to grow here. But at this point, everything for concentrated orange juice, excuse me, frozen concentrated orange juice is just shit out of luck. Yeah.
Mhm.
And all that came in because of NAFTA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love that. Bring in the little Asian wasp.
Mm-hmm.
But these are, again, the unintended consequences of such a small world, we call it now, right? It's something that can easily fly into a shipping container. He makes his way across the ocean, unloads in Orlando or Jacksonville, like Canaveral Port, maybe Miami in this case.
So it's a bee. The
It's
main.
a wasp, actually a wasp.
Okay.
And this wasp uses its beak or piercing nozzle to puncture the stem of the citrus tree, and it infects the tree then at that point. So there's a couple predator wasps that have been able to make some progress, but it has not been able to overwhelm or overcome, and the trees are all just sick. You know, they've been injected and are now infected. I use the equivalent to our human AIDS virus. It's a very similar situation. It takes the flow out of the tree, and they just cannot sustain any production. You see a noticeable, you just look at the tree and you're like, darn, it just isn't vibrant. The tree leaves are shriveled, and you know, in probably 4 years, the tree's done. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's news to me.
It's a bad deal. And again, you know, for a grower like myself, whatever, you know, I need it to make property tax, let alone I'm just trying to break even. Whatever. But that ain't even happening, so. And that's just one little aspect. But yet we'll truck in, again, fruits. You're going to get avocados year-round now because they're coming from Mexico. And they're spraying with, fumigating with things that we don't allow to be used here for good health reasons in the United States of America. We've also got plenty of terrible water that's being used to farm with down there. So compare that to America. We don't want to be a third world country here, people. Come on.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
they could be watering their trees with urine. I mean, you know, we put America up to all these standards, but then we turn around and import all these vegetables and fruits and stuff. We ain't got a freaking clue of how it was grown. Like I said, I mean, they could just be out there pissing on the damn beans to water them, and we'll import them all day long. But then when an American farmer wants to do some kind of vegetable, we put them up to all these standards that he can't hardly meet, or it costs him too much to meet. I'm not saying I want, you know, bad vegetables, but I'm just saying, ain't it kind of a hypocrisy that we put our farmers up to all these standards, yet that we'll import stuff from South America or Central America, and we ain't got a clue of what they done to grow
Yeah, you
those.
just look at your labels, dude. You look at your labels. I mean, and everything has to be labeled in the United States. Now, you know, that is one thing that I guess, again, people just don't give a shit. You know, you're at your price point and you're going to buy what's at the store. And what's at the store is going to be purchased there from the buyers who are all trying to make margin or profit at their store. So they're getting it from Mexico. It's may not have been pissed on, but it's probably been shat on.
Right.
We're talking brown water.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, seriously, I mean, we don't know. They could be fertilizing their crops with human waste. We don't know.
well, it is true. I mean, you know.
They're probably
Don't
not.
have
I'm
the,
just
well,
saying.
they are though. I'm saying the technology in wastewater treatment here in the United States is so far superior than the wastewater treatment technology in Mexico. Now, a lot of our business, like you hear Mr. Trump say, you know, has gone to Mexico, but it's not the same. You know, they have their little compounds, they do what they do there, but you can bet everybody drinks bottled water.
Yeah. That's been going on for decades about Mexico. Don't drink the water. So
Right. If you're going there, just drink beer.
yeah. And the only reason
Yeah.
that's any good is because it's been boiled a time or two.
I mean, even back in the 80s, I heard if you go to Tijuana, don't drink the water.
It's still the same.
Yeah, it's still the same.
J. Greg. I would stick to the alcohol diet too. To twist his arm.
Yeah, twisted his arm.
It was good for you out there. I said hello.
Yep. Hey, Jerry.
Well, hello.
Yeah, Howard. I'm reading the book right now, which it's a slow read, but it covers the. Let me grab it right quick. I'll be right back.
Team 4.
I bought the audio to 1984.
Oh.
And I ripped it and put it on a USB because most vehicles you rent these days don't have a damn CD player in it. They got SD card reader or a USB port to be able to connect to the radio. So I ripped them and put them on a USB too, so I could take it, and when I'm doing my driving and traveling, I can listen to it. It's been
Right on.
years since I've read the book.
10 for that. I'd probably better I don't. Probably better I don't.
I found the movie on YouTube, but boy, that's a hard movie to try to get into.
That's a dry ass movie to watch. It's
Yes.
a good movie, but oh, I hope the book's better than the movie.
Books
Well,
usually are.
what I can remember long time ago when I did read it, it's not one of those you're going to read in an hour, but it was a decent book. And so I was like, well, it's been so long that I can't really remember what all the book was about. So I found the audio CDs for the unabridged on Amazon for $10, so I bought it to listen to while I'm driving across the nation.
It would be a good book for somebody to do a new movie about. But that movie that came out back in the 80s, you know, and I'm assuming early 80s, it was just I watched it a year or two ago again, or maybe probably not the first time, but at least again. And man, I mean, it's almost like you have to force yourself to watch it. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, I watched about 30 minutes of it yesterday, and I had to turn it off. I was like, man, this is killing me.
Do I remember, is this correct? You correct me if I'm wrong, that the cinematography of it was real dark and
Yes.
kind of, I don't know if I would say, what is the Picasso era like? Just real sharp and harsh. And
It was dark and harsh and
okay, yeah, that was it then.
like maybe just pre-World War II era type everything, you know, industrial
That
age.
type of film also.
Yeah.
I tell you, a movie that combines a couple.
Did I lose you or me?
His volume went off.
TR, try it again.
Yeah, we can't hear you. You got to go out and come back.
Testing.
Him died.
Man overboard.
Right mid sentence. It made a ding sound and went away.
Yeah, well, so that'll be good reading. Just don't run off the road or succumb to road rage or anything of the sort?
Yeah. Well, I don't know why, but I cannot stand listening to music of any genre while driving. So I try to listen to like a talk radio, human voice, and then believe it or not, in a lot of areas, you can't find a talk radio station, period, on the radio. It's just crap radio station. So I try to get an audio CD every once in a while to try to listen to.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, got you.
Okay. Yeah, just a little YouTube glitch. What I was trying to say is, if you get a chance, if you got Netflix or whatever, Equilibrium is a good movie that kind of combines a book I read way back when I was in high school, Fahrenheit 451, I think it was.
Right.
And 1984. It's kind of a combination of those two. It's an awesome movie. It's the what's Christian Bale, I think.
Yeah.
Is his name.
Okay.
You know, the one that played the latest Batman movies. Awesome movie. It's based on the future where they're burning books and you can't think for yourself. Everybody's made to take a drug. In the movie, I forget what the name of it is, but it's really close to Prozac. And so everybody's on this drug
Oh,
that you're not allowed. It's illegal to have feelings. And it's a good movie, and it goes through. Of course, there's they overcome that and all that kind of shit. But it's a combination of the two, and it's a really good movie compared to 1984, which sucked as a movie. But
Yeah, it did.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they've certainly got a lot of people on pills. See, you guys were talking. I think you opened up talking about whether the ammo, potentially was the backdoor ban on it. They're reclassifying, blah blah, whatever. Whether that again is an old situation. I agree. But similarly topicked was that people holding the marijuana medical card, have to choose to use that card, even if they are a caretaker of sort, whatever. I'm really not too clear on the designation, but anyway, if you hold a card, that you are not allowed to purchase a handgun or a firearm at that point. I don't think you'll lose your current weapons, but going forward, for the ban is to purchase. So that's very important, I think, for people to know. A lot of people are into the medical marijuana thing right now. I bet it passes on the Florida ballot.
Arizona's bringing it up too.
Be careful, people. Be careful.
I take that back. I think Matt said it's not actually medical, that they already have the medical down there now in Arizona, but it's like Colorado, just legalized recreational. Is what they're bringing up. I think that's what he said.
Speaking of Fahrenheit 451 and the movies that we're talking about, 1984 or Equilibrium, aren't we kind of seeing that slowly getting a foothold in our society, where they're trying to curb speech with all this microaggression bullshit? I mean, I know it's not really taking hold, but at the same time, they're laying down a foundation for it to take hold, where speech is being censored. Books. Hell, look at a couple of years ago. Model cars, flags. It may be offensive to somebody, but I don't care if it offends you or not. I mean, if I could be offended by the Ku Klux Klan, but that don't give me the right to tell them that they can't be in public or do a protest or whatever. And we're starting to see a trend to where we're swaying toward censorship of speech, of books, of toys, flags, whatever. You know, I mean, right now it seems like a joke, and I mean, I know none of us think it's a joke, but I'm just saying, right now it seems frivolous,
True, that's a good word.
but if you think about it, we're laying the foundation for this to be a serious issue. Hopefully these idiot kids just keep getting their ass beat and it'll blow over, but they have big time people funding them to push their agenda.
Soros.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw somebody made a picture, took a picture, I don't know, whatever, but and I even used it as like a meme picture for one of my chats, where it says 1984 was not meant to be an instructional manual. You know, in relation to the times that we're in now. And part of it that I do remember from the book, you're right, we're living it.
Yeah.
Not to that extreme, but still.
Getting close.
It's creeping around the corner.
Yeah. I don't want to get off on another subject or whatever, but I mean, we are inviting the government into our house, and with the Patriot Act and all the stuff that's going on, where they could be listening to our conversation right now and recording it. You know, I mean, this shit's real. It's not paranoia. You know, I mean, it's real going on. I know.
It is true. I mean, and you know, honestly, TR, Johnny, I mean, you are all putting ourselves out there. We're standing out in the middle of the field. You know, we're here. I'm not as vocal as some other people are, but I certainly support this community and what we're standing for. So I just say that we're still out here. They can certainly see you. They have cover of darkness, and I'm sure you're correct in the point that they're listening and have already sized it all up. Who's where, what kind of resistance there is out there standing in the open field.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, we overnumber them by a lot. That's one of the reasons I don't really worry about it, because America don't have the manpower to clamp down the martial law that
No,
we
sir.
fear in our mind. They don't have the manpower for it. They can't do it. But that don't mean that they may not be aware of who I am, and you know that, hey, this guy's got weapons. He openly voices opinion about government. He's pro-constitution and all that. Doesn't mean that I worry about them looking at me, but there's a chance that maybe I'm a little bookmark somewhere, you know, and I don't really give a shit, you know. But we have invited 1984 into our lives because we, like this chat, my cell phone's sitting here. They could be listening to it. I know they're not. I mean, I'm nobody, but they could.
Well, if you're on Facebook,
Yeah.
if you're on Facebook, they definitely have profiled you. You know, I don't do the Facebook, but even with your Google, you do have to relinquish your cell phone. You can, I mean, I don't know, you guys have probably been part of the crew that has been hit these last few days with the blood prank calls or the scam calls. I've gotten several of them myself, these fake IRS calls coming to my phone. And, you know, I actually do correlate some of these things to the only places I have given my cell number out to. And I can pin it down. And I have to believe that at some point, either Dropbox or Google has at some point sold to the third party, you know, my info. You guys, there's other people on YouTube, you probably saw it, but they did their own videos these last several days of their own calls. You know, some of them are scams that, again, are just trying to get you to call back, and the hits. Some people had fun fucking with them, you know, trying to talk back to the people, and that's good and all that's fun too, but there's a lot of people out there that don't know the difference, and they actually call back, and that is just wrong. You know, you just can be intimidated. Older folks certainly would have a heart attack hearing that you're being sued for this or that. Please call this number for more information. What? Oh my God. And next thing you know, Bali Beachside has got access to whatever contacts are on your phone. So terrible, terrible Trojan horses going around. Oh, Iridium, you got hit. See? Yeah. He's out there. He's active.
I've
Tough
seen
deal.
a few conspiracy theories, and it may be true, and whether they are or not, it don't matter. The whole thing's a fucking stupid thing anyway. But with the Pokemon Go or whatever the hell it is,
Sure, sure.
well, the company that came up with that was the same company or base company that did Google Earth, or was the base company that started Google Earth, and Google bought them, blah, blah, blah. Same company, directly funded by the CIA, if you look into this. So when you're going into people's backyards, or your backyard, or wherever, and you hit that button to, I have no idea how this damn game works, but you got your GPS on.
Your locator.
You're taking pictures, basically. So they're building their database of all these areas that they didn't have access to. Now, call me a conspiracy theorist if you want to, but tell me I'm wrong. If I'm taking pictures of people's backyards, my backyard, everything else, they got a latitude, a longitude, coordinates. Now they know what this yard looks like. All this shit's being compiled, you know, took down. Is it going to be used against us? Probably not. Could it? Yes. Yeah,
You
that's
know,
the bottom line.
the other aspect about the cell phone call that I got, you guys, that it was a sophisticated scam, that my phone missed call list stated, you know, the number for 5 minutes, and then it disappeared. And the voicemail that was left, the scary warning, it self-destructed in 5 minutes too. How about that?
Damn. Yeah, that's some high tech shit there.
I agree. I'm glad I didn't, you know, partake.
Yeah.
At least I don't think I did.
Wow.
So
Tracy's
beware,
got a nice
people.
hat. And if anybody ever sees me put my tinfoil hat on, this is a Dixie cup from the United States Navy that I wrapped in tinfoil. So the old Navy Dixie cups, I just wrapped it in tinfoil. That's what it is.
You did that with us on Jamie Time one night, yep. And I mean, I have to say, this year's going to be a crucial one, no doubt.
Yeah, I think so.
2016. 10, 10, 10, 10.
I was getting cell phone calls. I hadn't got any in a while, but the number would be 4 digits. Just 4 digits.
Yeah.
How is that fucking possible?
Is it like a text that came
No,
through?
a phone call. No,
Wow.
a phone call. It'd be like 5201 or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I got a couple of those too. Somebody was calling through a computer or something.
Yeah. I never did answer them because I was afraid it was one of those things like it was a Bahama, account from the Bahamas or something.
That's
As
what
soon
I
as
was saying, yeah.
I
Bali
got-
Beachside. Now you're teleconferencing for the 5 families over there.
Yeah, yeah, I get some kind of $900 damn cell phone charge for answering the damn thing, so I never did answer them. But they were bad for a while, and then they finally quit. You know, I just like ignored them. Of course, they never left a voicemail or anything. But it's like, how am I getting a 4-digit phone call? I could see if it said restrictive or unlisted or something like. No, it was a 4-digit phone number. It's like, what the fuck is that?
Gonna have to let me Google that.
Right.
I knew it was a scam from the get go, so I just didn't answer it.
Right, right, right. And again, that's the way it is. If you don't recognize phone numbers, people don't answer it.
Yep. If I don't recognize the number and they don't leave a message, it wasn't important.
Yes, I don't do the Facebook. I could not control Facebook, and I get very upset because Facebook still pulls the zip code and tries to tell me that I know more people or something, you know, again, there's more friends that you have out there than you know or whatever, you know, and they're just, again, working strictly off of regional zip or phone. And so again, that really angers me. I'm not into that kind of networking, you know what I'm saying?
I don't have it on my phone. I still do have Facebook. And the only reason I really have it is just to keep up with high school friends. That's about it. I post shit on there and, you know, share stuff, but, you know, I can share a YouTube video that I make and get like either 0 likes or 1 or 2. So it's like, I mean, I don't really put much effort into it. I'll look at it every once in a while, but it just ain't really worth my time. And then every once in a while I'll find something really offensive politically, and I'll post it on there just for the hell of
it. Good for you.
Actually, the last one I posted was a bunch of Black Lives Matter people where they were blocking the street. There's this little song playing, and then all of a sudden they're getting fucking run over left and right. Bam, bam, bam. You know, at the end of it, it says, you know, think twice before playing Frogger in real life. And I actually got like 16 or 17 people actually thumbs up it or whatever.
Well, I have to say, I think you guys were talking about the Black Lives Matter at the beginning, and there's the thought that if laws are suspended, you know, if it's just lawless, those people aren't going to be able to impede traffic. They'll get run over, you know, that whole thing will collapse. Like, it just, you know, will not stand. Of course, if there's looting and rioting and everything else, well, that's, so be it. But everybody's, you know, at that point, that's where you just have lawlessness.
Yep.
And some little small groups that have been paid by the Soros entourage will fold. They've already been paid for the next 60 days, so, you know, we're going to see some disruptions. They're going to try everything they can and have practiced for all these last few years and mini elections to get ready for this, but you know, make no mistake, these are paid thugs.
Yeah, absolutely. They're well funded.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it's not a grassroots real organization. I mean, it's a funded organization that's put out there to stir up shit and cause problems. I know I talked about it on a chat or two ago. It might have been Sunday night. I don't remember now. I mean, Tuesday. Back in the 70s, I remember being stopped. I mean, I was a kid. My mom was driving the car. Early 70s, We got stopped by the Ku Klux Klan. They blocked the freaking road, and we could not pass. I mean, they didn't do anything violent. They were just handing out pamphlets. And, so my mom, got the pamphlet and they let us go. And she was scared, which made me more scared. I could tell she was scared. And I don't give a damn how you classify what they think they're doing. It is an act of terrorism. It was no different than when the Klan stopped us in the middle of the road, in the middle of the night, or, whatever time it was, 9 o'clock or whatever. I was terrified. Do you not think that if Black Lives Matter are blocking the streets and there's kids in the car and the parents are a little bit like nervous and stuff like that, that they're not terrorizing those damn kids? I don't give a damn what color they are.
Absolutely.
It's an act of fucking terrorism. They're trying to get a political agenda passed through terror and scare tactics. That is terrorism. They are fucking terrorists.
I agree. I agree.
But anyway.
But you, right there, with your "Don't Tread on Me" flag, you are the terrorist.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a racist. Because, that's the other thing. This is a racist flag. Just like, how the fuck is that a racist flag?
Again, it's a city slicker. Just on the front of it, if anybody is in the woods and has ever grown up camping or, again, just outdoors, you understand what the rattlesnake is, period. And you don't want to step on one, period. And that's the whole ball of wax. Don't tread on me. It's not meant to be what's racist about that?
Yeah. That means keep your distance. You do whatever you want to do. I'll do whatever I want to do. If you get in my territory, I may strike. That's what that means. Well, in a nutshell.
People want to be left alone. Right. Just leave people alone. Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon Hick, you're absolutely right.
But that Saul Alinsky list, they've checked it off pretty much.
The what list?
The Rules for Radicals, Saul Alinsky's list on how to, destroy capitalistic society.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely working on it.
I think there's only like 3 things they haven't done. One is the gun control. Goodness, what was the other one that I felt like they hadn't done yet? But all other 15, check. Darn, I'll have to go look at that again.
Yeah, the one thing that gives me hope for America is that there's enough states actually passing like pro-liberty laws, and when I say that, probably like more gun laws, but even say your medical marijuana or just marijuana laws and stuff like that, they are passing more liberty-minded laws. There's other states that are being more restrictive and passing more, like California. We just need to break that off and send it off in the ocean. But even though we have these restrictive states, there's enough states actually passing more liberty-minded laws that give me hope that maybe we do have a chance. I think America is eventually going to get broken up. It'll be a massive event that happens when it does, but I think America will split up eventually.
TR, the greed, it takes me back to, again, President Lincoln's Civil War dilemma, that the secession issue and
you know, we can debate on the reasons for keeping the Union together or not, but one of the biggest ones was the dollar, and to keep the Union together for the control, for the establishment of what could be the greatest country. And that was a big part of the fight for keeping the Union together. So I don't see that this greedy government could ever relinquish a penny or a square acre of land that, again, is an asset on their books. I just never, I would bet my life that they would not allow a succession to occur.
Oh no, I don't think they would allow a succession. I mean, that's what happened during the Civil War. The southern states that did succeed, they were well within their constitutional rights to do that. And the North fought back, like you said, because of taxes, of just being a bulk of a nation. You know, the bigger, the better. What I was saying was more like, if a huge tragedy did happen where basically shit hit the fan, then I could see the states breaking up. But just a couple of states, whatever, saying that they're going to succeed, yeah, that ain't going to happen. They ain't going to allow it. You know, just like they did during the Civil War.
No doubt. You know, possibly some sort of a real natural disaster if Yellowstone did blow, you know. I mean, and something of that sort really put pretty much east-west divide in our country. You know, I don't know.
That would be the only time. I mean, something really, really big, true shit hit the fan happened, then the country may split up. But yeah, I agree with you, Bird Dog. They're not. Their state's not going to just be able to secede, and the federal government say, okay, fine. No, that ain't gonna happen. I think they should, and the way that they should do it is, the state should say, you know, guess what? We're not going to do this, or we're not going to do that, or whatever it is, whatever the case, whatever it is. And the federal government say, well, we're going to cut off your federal funding for highways, education, or whatever.
That's how they roll, right?
Yeah, and then the state should say, fine, we don't want your money, but what we will do is we will stop taking federal income tax out of everybody that works in our state. You will no longer receive federal income tax from anybody that works in our state.
I
So
agree
keep
with
your
that.
money, and the people can keep their money. Even if they bumped up their state income tax 10% to help build roads or whatever, schools or what have you. And that's all states have to do, is say, you know what, we don't want your federal money, but we're not going to take federal money from anybody in this state ever again. So
Well, that certainly is the only way that, you know, you can ever starve the government is to quit feeding it. And it's a sad reality. We've heard this talked about. Americans have not had raises really to your paychecks, you know, over the last, I'll say 8 to 10 years, some people even longer than that. And a lot of that reason is because the raise money that was there is, again, shilled off the top before you get it in your net pay. It's already swiped and taken by the federal government. You know, your taxes, again, have been raised over and over again to consume anything that you could have ever taken home. So it's a misnomer, and again, it's part of this devilment that is out there to divide our country, employers versus employees, you know, all of the different cultural factions against each other, but just to make it such that a person thinks they're being shorted, that's a tough deal. You know, if you think that your employer is not giving you the respect for your work, that's an instant wedge.
Well,
But
think about
the truth is Uncle Sam got it. You know, there's so many things that we really don't. A lot of people do understand, but a lot of people don't.
well, take me. I'm a single person, no dependents, no wife. I'm in, I make decent money, so I'm in a fairly high tax bracket. Everything that I pay in, which is heavily, my employer actually matches. So if they didn't have to pay a federal income tax, I didn't have to pay a federal income tax, they could actually afford to pay me more money and be cheaper for my labor. They could give me a $2 or $3 freaking raise and still come out smelling great. It's like, shit, we were saving tens of thousands of dollars.
It's very true, TR, and the empowerment that it would give to you to spend your dollar as you see fit, whether it be to a charity that you choose or to a business that you choose, that is your right. That's really what supply and demand is so based on. So when the economy and people's purchasing power is depressed like this, or even suppressed is probably a better word, and stolen, we all talk about stolen valor, stolen economic opportunity exists, and you're losing so much of your hard-earned income, which a lot of times, again, it's just not relatively easily seen. But the charities, the churches have suffered greatly because you can't afford to give now. Maybe you did give to a charitable contribution more so in the past, but you just can't afford to do it anymore. I mean, that's, God. I know that that's our case at our business. We used to support the local schools and do so much in the community. It's impossible. It's not there. It's for broke. Someone else has decided how to disseminate that money, and I don't like how they used it. Not one bit. It's all scurried away in someone else's paycheck or some slush fund.
Yeah, but Congress and all them has been giving themselves raises over all these years, though. And that's another thing that pisses me off a million.
Well, now this is all together. What is it? September now? Yeah, September. Like I said, I'm in one of the higher tax brackets because I have no dependents, no write-offs, no wife, no nothing. But and this is including state, I paid in over $12,000 of my income in taxes so far this year.
Yep.
I understand that. Yes, sir. And what the?
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck?
It really sucks, and they're using, it's an interest-free loan that they're getting to use your money until next year.
I mean, that was all together. That was state tax, everything all together tax. But that was the taxes. I really don't
money
mind
though.
State tax. But the federal tax and all the other stuff, they just kind of crawls under my skin a little bit. It's like, really? If you took that, if you gave me that in 2 years, I could buy a brand new fucking car cash money,
That's part of what I'm talking about. Yep. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And that all goes back to the whole productivity, the GDP of our country. Everything is depressed. It's all depressed.
Well, the book that I went to go get a while ago was this one here. Oh, I got it upside down. Free to Choose. It's not a super easy book to read. A lot of facts and figures and stuff like that, but it gets into all the departments that we have in America and how it screwed America up. I mean, it goes back into the 1800s and stuff, you know, and how these departments got started, whether it's interstate commerce, FDA, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it really dwells into the good intentions, but how they screwed everything up, and they made stuff cost more, and they made us less safe, even though that's the reason they came up with them to start with, all these agencies and stuff. Department of Education, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I've been reading. Like I said, not a really fun read, but a very educational read. I mean, I don't mean to, you know, down it, but it's a really good book. But this is the kind of shit that I engulf myself into. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I just looked at my pay stub. I've paid in $8,000 this year already.
Yeah.
So I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, you probably have some little bit of write-offs or whatever. I don't know your entire situation, and it's not none of my fucking business or anything. But
That's with me claiming the kids.
well, see, there you go. So you're claiming kids, so that knocks you down. You know, me being single, no dependents, they fucking rape my ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd be paying the 12 or 13 like you're talking about doing if I didn't.
Let me see if I can find that book. Y'all go ahead and talk. I'm trying to look up something here.
What's everybody doing in the chat there? All right, well, I don't think I can repeat that.
you know, in Florida, they have stopped the payback program for the solar power contributors on the grid. They had such of a big promotion. Everybody get involved and we'll buy your extra power that you produce. That has ended, and folks are not happy.
Oh, the power company's not buying your overflow power from solar anymore down
That
in
is
Florida?
correct, yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah.
Say that again now.
You know, TR, you're big on your solar power, right? So again, the big plug down here in Florida for the promotion and enticement for everyone to get on board and go solar, put up solar panels on your house. A lot of that was subsidized and then also sold under the guise that you could sell your excess power back to the grid. Well, that program has ended. No more pay for the excess surplus power. You can't be paid for it back now. Florida has ended this program, and a lot of people are really upset about that.
Yeah, that's weird. You think the power company would want that to be able to, because they're not giving you market value for it. They wouldn't in any other state. I work in the electric industry now, so the states I go to and to do the work I work in, they do the paybacks for let's say market value for a kilowatt, and I don't know because I don't keep up with all this, but let's say costs you 24 cents. Well, they're only going to pay you 8 to 12. So they were saving money by you pushing power into the grid. So I don't understand why they would do that. That's kind of fucked up.
Well,
Yeah.
they get government subsidies, and it gives them excuses to build new power plants and then get new government contracts, and because it wouldn't be that hard for the American public to cut off 50% of the power we use. In your bigger cities and stuff, of course, you couldn't do solar power. You're living in a big complex, you know, you can't do solar power. But think of every individual home that could put up 3 or 4 panels just to produce a little bit of power. What difference that would make on the entire grid? It would be huge, huge. And they don't want that because then they can't build new power plants and get these government contracts and subsidies and all that. I mean, they don't want you putting fucking solar panels up on your house.
Well, you know, TR and Johnny, they had a huge increase. There was a tremendous response, and large businesses, government entities, even throughout the state, and I would have to say probably the government itself, I will bet you that they have gobbled up the contract and parted it out so that the, because, you know, I mean, I can drive by fields, and if you just look at Google Earth, you'll find solar fields here in Florida, all over. It was very well received. It was implemented. Now that it is, it could be that the government has the contracts. But I think, in my own opinion, this is just my opinion, it's probable that Duke and Progress and you know, the actual entities were losing money. I think that there was so much out there, people who were relying again on a, you know, reverse check. I just don't think that it became profitable, which is what always happens, you know. And TR, you touched on it. I mean, a lot of things, the departments were all met with probable good intentions, but so many unintended consequences.
Well, they don't. If you're not on the grid, if you're not relying on the grid, just like you talked about earlier, you know, about somebody wanting to live off grid, and it's like, oh hell no, you can't live off grid. You gotta have water. You gotta have sewer. You gotta have power going to your house. You are not allowed to live off the grid. Why? And if you're producing your own power and selling it back to the power company, pretty much you know, that's one step away from being off the grid, at least power-wise. Because if you're producing enough power that they owe you money at the end of the month, you're off grid. You could cut that line and be off the grid. They do not want that. You are supposed to be a slave. You are supposed to rely on the system. And they're not going to allow somebody to not be reliant on government or utilities.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's a shame. It is.
I know in South Carolina they changed it to where you don't. I could do it, but I'm not going to. But you basically, whatever power you put into the system, they give you credit. So like if I put, we don't even talk about kilowatts. Just to say I put $100 worth of power into the grid, what it costs me, they give me $100 worth of credit. You know, so I mean, you know, maybe my next bill would be nothing. I would never make any money, but I might not ever have to pay money for my power bill.
Well, that's the way I understand all of them we're doing it anyway. They never really sent you any money via check or otherwise. They just took it off your bill, but I know there were some that if you did absolutely no use off the grid and you did put back, they would send you the difference. But as far as I know, that was rare.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was that way in South Carolina, but they changed it, and now it's just a credit for credit. You know, you give us a kilowatt, we'll give you a kilowatt back, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably a better deal because, like you said, say they charging 24 cents, but they're only paying you 8 cents or 10 cents for that same amount of power. Really, now it's probably a better deal because it's a kilowatt for kilowatt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like I said, I didn't do that because then I would have to involve getting electricians out here, get shit certified, get Duke Power to approve it and all that. And it's just like, nah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing all that.
Yeah, you couldn't have that octopus hanging out that wall in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I work in the industry. I know I can't do that shit and that be certified.
Yep. Yeah, they'd come in there, they'd have had a stroke.
Yeah. I know what this shit is. They all black wires, but trust me, they're all going to the right spot.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, damn.
Well, it's been a couple of hours. Y'all want to go ahead and wrap this up?
We can do it however you want to, bud.
Yeah, I got to go to work tomorrow, so I don't get the day off tomorrow. So on Labor Day, I get to work.
Yeah. You get any like holiday pay for it extra, or it's just a day?
It's just another day. I mean, yes and no. What they done, being that I work in a plant, is because there's so many holidays like Labor Day, President's Day, blah, blah, blah day, whatever. It's not feasible to shut a plant down for one day. I mean, it costs more money than,
Oh, I know.
scrap and what have you. So what they done is they just gave us 40 hours extra vacation. They started this a year or two ago. And I was all for it. I was like, okay. So take those 11 days, or 10 days, or whatever it was, give me 40 hours vacation. Let me take it whenever I want, and I'm cool with it. I'll work Labor Day. I don't care, because that means I got an extra vacation day. The plant I work at, and I've been there over 10 years. Even though I left and came back, I kept I wasn't gone long enough that they kicked out my seniority for as vacation time. I get 200 freaking hours of vacation a year.
Nice.
That 40 hours that they took for the holidays, they used to just pay you 8 hours extra. 8 hours extra pay. It didn't count toward overtime. It was just 8 hours straight pay. It's like now they added that to it. Very, very generous vacation. 200 hours. And considering I work 12-hour shifts, all I got to do is take 24 hours, and that's a week off. If I take it at the right times. So 200 hours, I mean, I get like a month and a half off or something like that a year.
Yeah.
So I don't bitch about it. Yeah, I'll work tomorrow. Ain't no problem.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, but like you said again, I mean, the reality of the business, that's what the bottom line is keeping the business running.
Yeah, and being I'm in maintenance, trust me, I would rather them not shut it down for a day. If they want to shut down a week, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, that's fine. But a day, the headache that causes me as a maintenance man, because machines do not like to be shut down and go cold. That means that half the freaking equipment in that plant is going to be fucked up when we try to start back up. And I'm scrambling for a day or two trying to get it all working again. So it's like, no, don't shut it down. Just keep it running.
Yeah.
Momentum and cadence has its place.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I want to thank our special guest. I'm pretty sure this is the first time Bird Dog's ever been on one of my chats. I think.
It is
I think
true.
so.
Thank you both. I enjoyed it, and I appreciate good chatting. Thank you all. Everybody have a great day tomorrow.
And
Absolutely.
Bird Dog, I want to let you know you got an open invite to any of my chats. So
And thank
anytime you
you.
want to come in, you just let me know, and boom, I'll send the invite out. I love having you on. I love your. I think you have a very good point of view, and you keep up with politics and stuff more than people think, and you know what's going on.
Well, I have to say I'm just another American, and I try to work hard. I love our country, and I enjoy the friendships that we've made here. So again, I knew you'd let me get on. It's really good to see you, Johnny, too. Hugs, love you, Shug, miss you guys, and again,
too, hon.
thank you all out there, everybody. Have a great day tomorrow.
Like I said, anytime, Bird Dog, anytime. It's nice to talk to you. Johnny, you got anything to add?
Nope, I'm good. I ain't doing nothing more than the normal conundrum every 2 weeks, so y'all go check it out, which most everybody in the audience does. So.
Well, it'll be not this coming Friday, but next Friday, right?
Yes.
And hopefully, well, we won't even talk about it until we know what's going to happen. Anyway,
Right.
Thanks everybody for coming by, and if I'm not mistaken, from what they told me on YouTube or the notifications, come Tuesday, I'll start doing these chats back on the TR Prepper channel. If not Tuesday, it'll be Sunday, because my penalty is up on September 6th, which is Tuesday. So I don't know if that means I can do a chat that day or that's the last day of my penalty or whatever. So
Right.
either way, so either come Tuesday to be on this channel or it'll be on the TR Prepper channel, whichever one. But I know next Sunday for sure I will be back on the TR Prepper channel and get back to business as usual. And whatever you do, do not repost a Paul Harvey video on your channel.
Yep.
Don't mirror it. Don't do anything. Just don't do it. I'm telling you. So either way, later everybody. Thank you for coming by. I think we had a great chat. Thanks everybody in the comments section. Thank you, Bird Dog, Johnny, awesome panel, and it's a real treat to have you here, Bird Dog, and thank you. Later, everybody.